Very good morning, students. Today we are going to begin the new module of Python application programming, which is classes and objects. As we all know, Python is an object-oriented programming, in fact, because when you are creating a variable or a list or a tuple, and when you try to know what is the type of that variable or a tuple, we would be seeing it belongs to your class. The variable, the tuple, the list, whatever is created, it becomes the instance of that particular class. Right? So just we see the introduction, then I open the idle. Python is an object-oriented programming language. Till now, the variable, the string, list, tuple, dictionary, whatever we work is nothing but objects. All are the instances of the corresponding class. Instances are nothing but object again. So a class is like an object constructor or a blueprint for creating objects. I don't want to get into detailed introduction of what is class and object. Being a 6th semester students, I hope you know what it is. So in Python, classes allow us to create our own user-defined data type. And classes also, it provides a means of binding the data and functions together. For every instance of an object, we are able to define the attributes as well as the functions on it, right? So each class instance means, again, you have to remember the object. It can have attributes attached to it, as well as we can define some methods on it. So this is a simple introduction about that. Now, these are the topics we are going to discuss further in the class. How to create a class, how to instantiate an object, how to define an attributes for an object, and some examples. And further, we are going to understand the concept that objects are mutable. We can return an object itself as a return value. We are able to copy the objects. Finally, we discuss some basic definitions, whatever is about today's topic. Now, let me try to share the idle. I think idle is visible for everyone right now, right? So we just have an introduction for the basic concepts of classes and objects in Python now. Right? So now let me define a variable x. If I say x is equal to 10, we know that Python is a dynamically typed language. Based on the value what we assign to a variable, the Python compiler decides the data type. So let me try to know what is the type of x. It says that it belongs to the class integer. It means what? X is an object which is the instance of the class integer. Let me try with one list also. Let me create an empty list. L is equal to list. Using the method list, you know that you are able to create an empty list. If I simply type L, an empty list is created. But our concern is, what is the type of L? So what is the type of L? L is once again an instance of the class list. L is an object of class list. So till now we have worked with only the objects, but we were not knowing it as object. We have understood till now from the perspective of Python as an functional programming. So from onwards, we are going to understand Python as an object-oriented programming. Okay, once again, let me share the PPT now. So in a mathematical notation, we know what is a point, right? Point is always defined as two information, which is a pair of information, X and Y. How do you want to store a point? Till now, you know some data types and data structures, right? How do you want to store a point? Can we store a point as two variable, X in one variable and Y in one variable? Then how do we say it as a point? That's not a comfortable data type, right? Can we store it as a list? Yes, of course. But can you call that list as a point every time? We can store it as a tuple also, right? Okay, instead of all those things, even though we try to store in this data types, it is not the data type what we have in our mind, isn't it? A point means it is always a combined pair of information. One is X, another one is Y. So let us try to define a new data type. User are allowed to define a new data type using the classes, right? So that is what we are going to understand. Now look into this picture. This picture is known as object diagram. See, attributes are given. What are the attributes? X is an attribute, Y is an attribute, X takes a value 3.0, Y takes a value 4.0, right? And these attributes are belonging to the class point. So point is a name of the class. The class contains two attributes. One is X, another one is Y. Blank is the instance of the class point. So looking into this object diagram, now we are going to create a class in our idle using the idle, right? You please note down this diagram, then it will be easy for you to further understand the concepts. Okay, now let me switch over to the idle once again. Right? So whatever given in the object diagram, the same thing we are going to code it now. By the way, we are going to understand the syntax of class also. You have to use a keyword class whenever you are creating a or defining a class. Then you should give a name to the class. As per the object diagram, the name of the class is point. Right? So this is a syntax. You have to end with a colon. As we do in functions, we have to end with a colon. Now, I'm not writing any description or definition inside my class. I'm just typing the pass. Pass means you know that do nothing. We have defined the class, right? Now, I'm going to create the instances for the class. Instances is nothing but objects for the class. So how do I do that? What is the syntax for that? I need a name. Okay, as per the object diagram, let me give the name as blank. Blank is the instance. When it becomes the instance, when I code like this, point is the class name, but I have to use the round brackets, right? Now I have created the object called blank. Point is a class name, blank is the instance or the name of the object. So this is the syntax to create an object. Now just let me try to know what is the type of blank. See, blank is an instance of the class point. How it was displayed here. X is the instance of class integer. L is the instance of the class list. Similarly, blank is the instance of the class point. But in fact, we defined the class, we defined the object also, but we have not yet defined the attributes. There are two attributes, right, as per the object diagram. One is X, another one is Y. How to define that? Unlike other programming languages, in Python, it is possible for me to define the attributes of the object after I instantiated the object. Already I created the object here. Now I'm able to define the attributes for the object. So, blank dot X is equal to 3.0. Yes, I defined one of the attribute for that object. Blank dot Y is equal to 4.0. I defined another attribute for that object also. Okay, now how do I access those attributes? It is very simple, the same thing. First, you mention the object name dot attribute name. You are able to access the value. Again, the object name, the another attribute y, let us access. So you are able to visible the data now. Right? Now let us instantiate one more object for the same class. Let P1 be the object name. How do I instantiate it? P1 is equal to the class name is point. I have to open and close the round brackets like this. So another object is created, but for the point, I mean the P1 has no attributes right now. I have to define the attributes for it. So P1 dot X is equal to, I just say it is 4.5. I have not defined the attribute Y for P1. So with respect to object, I am able to define certain attributes. I can leave certain attributes also, right? So just we have a refresh, whatever till now we have done. Just go through from the beginning. We have created a class point, but I have not defined or described anything inside it. I have just given the pass statement. It means do nothing. Just we created the blueprint of the class. Now we are creating the actual objects of the class. How do you do that? First give the object name, then use a assignment operator equal to, then give the class name with the round brackets. So blank is an instance of the class point. Then we just try to know what is the type of that blank. It shows that it belongs to the class point. After that, we initialize the attributes of that particular object. X and Y are the attributes of that object that we have initialized. Then later we just try to access what is the values of those attributes. So this is the way we have to access. First we have to give the object name dot attribute name. So blank dot X, blank dot Y, we try to print. By the way, we got the values. Then we have instantiated another object called P1. P1 is the instance of the class point now. For P1, I have defined only one attribute, which is X. So that is being given as a value 4.5. Right. Till now, we know how to create a class, how to instantiate the objects of the class, how to give the attributes for those objects. All these things we are very well aware. Now we work out some auxiliary functions, some functions with respect to the classes. So name it as auxiliary functions. Right, two functions I'm going to explain. One is isInstance, another one is hasAttribute. Now let us first know what is isInstance. The name of the function is isInstance. We are going to check whether the object blank is instance of the class point. Yes, it says true, right? Similarly, let me check whether P1 is an instance of the class point. What the value it will be returning? Of course, it is also true, right? Now I check for another name which we have not really instantiated. P2 we have not instantiated. But if I try to check what it says, it will report an error, right? Yes, it is reporting an error. It says that it is a name error. Name P2 is not yet defined. Okay, this is one of the functions which we have to know with respect to the classes. It is used to check whether a particular name is instance of the class. Right. Now let us see another function. hasAttribute. hasAttr. That is the name of the function. You have to pass two arguments in that. The first argument is attribute. For this point, we have two attributes. One is X and Y. That only I am going to check. So whether X is the attribute of blank, I am going to check. For this, it will return the value True. Attribute name must be the string. Just a minute. Has attribute. Oh, instead of point, I have given the name. No, X is an attribute of the object P1. What is the error? It says attribute name must be a string. We have P1.x. Yes. Then why this function is not working? Has attribute, or I have to change the arguments. Yes, the order of arguments what I have given was wrong. This is the correct way of giving the arguments. First I have to mention the name of the object, then I have to give the attribute name. So P1 is the instance of the class point and X is an attribute. At the same time we know that P1.y is not there, right? So let us check using the same function. Has attribute. First you have to give the name of the object. P1 is the name of the object. Then you have to give the attribute name. It says the attribute y is not there for the object P1. Let us check for the object blank now. Has attribute, the name of the object is blank. Let us give the attribute y now. Yeah, it is returning true. So make a note of this, both the auxiliary functions. One is instance, another one is attribute. Instance also takes two arguments. The first argument is instance, the second argument is class name. Make a note. The first argument is instance or the object, and the second argument is the name of the class. Whereas in the has attribute function, the first argument is once again object name and the second argument is the name of the attribute. I hope you had understood the purpose of these functions. If you have understood, please reply in the chat box. Okay, you people said yes. Now I proceed with the next topic. Now we have defined the attributes and we have initialized the values for those attributes also. Can we perform some operations on those attributes? That we are going to learn, right? So we are going to define or perform an operation on those attributes. So first operation what we are going to perform is just we are going to print the point, right? Using a function. So I'm going to define a function now, define, and the name of the function what I'm giving is prn pt, print point. So I'm going to pass the point itself as the argument. Let the name be p. Right? So now we are going to write the statement, relevant statement, which prints the point. I want the point to be printed as x comma y in a bracket format. So let me define the same format here. So tuple, I use a %d. Python facilitates the printing in the format of C language also. %d, I don't need to tell you, it marks the integer. Now I'm using the format operator. This % sign is nothing but a format operator. P we are going to print and the corresponding attribute. So p dot x, p dot y. Yeah, the function is over. I just explained the function. prn underscore pt is the name of the function which is going to print the point value in the format of x comma y. The argument what it takes is p, right? So in what format we are going to print, we are treating it as integer, the x comma y value, and it is going to print with the round brackets. So I have enclosed within a single quote. This percentage sign is nothing but a format operator. I think in my class I have explained the format function also. Instead of format function, you can use this format operator also, right? In place of percentage D, first percentage D, P dot X will be printed. In place of second percentage D, P dot Y will be printed. Just we are going to invoke the method now. So how do we invoke the method? First, you have to give the function name and you have to pass an argument here. What is the argument we have to pass? The object name we have to pass. So what are the object? Okay, you are not able to see it. Yeah, let me try to minimize it further.
Ma'am, who draw that line, blue line?
Manjunath sir, please
Who,
avoid
who has
talking
put that?
now. Yeah, I'll instruct the students, please avoid talking because this we are going to upload in the YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, please message in the chat box. Students, please don't annotate. That's not nice. Those who have annotated can remove it. I hope I'll get complete cooperation from you people. I hope the screen is visible now. Please reply. Yes, thank you, students. Okay, now we are going to pass the object here. Right, so already we have instantiated two objects for the class point. One is blank, another one is P1. First, let me pass blank. Can you able to see the output now? It is displaying as 3, 4. This was a value we initialized. Blank dot x we have given as 3.0, in fact float, but we have used the format specifier here as percentage D. That is why it is printing as 3. And the blank dot y we initialized with the value 4.0, so it is printing it as 3, 4. Okay, now if I try to pass P1, what will be the output? Because we have initialized only one attribute, I think. We have not initialized for P1 the attribute y. So if I try to invoke the function with the parameter P1, it says that the point object has no attribute y. So what is to be done? Let us initialize what is P1 dot y. First, let us initialize P1 dot y is equal to some 6. Now I try to execute the same print statement now. Now you are able to view the output. So now we learned that we are able to perform some operations on the attributes by invoking or by defining a function like this. Now I'll give you an exercise. Take the question. Try to write a function. Write a function that finds distance between the 2 points. That finds the distance between the 2 points. I hope you know the formula. If you do not know the formula, make a point now. Let the first point be x1, y1. And let the second point be x2, y2. So how do you find the distance? Square root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. Let me repeat the formula. Square root of x2 minus x1 the whole squared plus y2 minus y1 the whole squared. You just try to write the function. I will also write the code here. So I have named the function as find d, find distance. We need 2 points, right? So that we are able to find the distance between those 2 points, right? So when I find the distance between the 2 points, I'm going to store the result in the variable name distance. Distance is equal to, we have a module called math, and that math module supports the function called square root. So that function we are going to make use. So inside the square root, we have to pass, write the argument. So what is the argument we can write here? x2 minus x1 the whole squared plus y2 minus y1 the whole squared. So what is x2 here? It is nothing but p.2 dot x. So pt2 dot x is nothing but x2 minus pt1 dot x. How do we achieve the exponent operation? I hope you remember the operator. It is nothing but double star 2 plus y2 minus y1 the whole squared is nothing but 0.2 dot y minus 0.1 dot y the whole square. So I have just to do the modification here. Y and y. So we have written the formula to calculate the distance. After that, I just want to return the value, or you can print the value there itself also. Print of distance you can give, or you can return the value also. Anything is fine. So the function definition is over. But if at all the function has to make use of the method square root, first we need to import the module math. So math module is imported. Now let us invoke the function. So what is the name of the function? Find distance. And remember that this function is returning a value. If it is returning a value, I have to either store it in a variable or I can directly display it. Let me try to display it directly. So print, inside it I'm calling the function find distance. So what are the points we can pass here? We have 2 points, right? Already one is blank, another one is P1. Let us pass those as the values. Blank is PT1. Then we have already instantiated the object called P1. So we have passed it. Now it is returning the value. 2.5. So you can take down this code. You can practice once the sessions are over. If you have understood, please reply in the chat box so that I can proceed with the next topic. It is just nothing but a formula. Since I have written the value, the returning value, I'm just printing it here. Yes, let me go ahead. So till now we have seen what is a class, what is an object, how to write a function, or how to perform operations on the attributes of the object. Next, we are going to learn a new concept called embedded object. So first you take down the definition, what is embedded object. An attribute of a class is itself an object. An attribute of a class is itself an object, then it is an embedded object. Is itself an object, then it is known as embedded object. I want to share the PPT now. Now we are going to see another example, rectangle. First you see the object diagram. I hope this object diagram is visible to everyone. Please reply in the chat box. Fine. You just look into the object diagram now. There is a rectangle, right? The rectangle is defined with the three attributes. One is width, another one is height, another one is corner. But corner is an attribute of the class rectangle, but corner itself is an object. From the diagram, you can easily understand. Corner is an instance of the class point. So this is known as embedded object. This concept is known as embedded object. An attribute of a class is an instance of another class. So this diagram clearly explains you what is an embedded object. Width and height are the normal attributes. There is no confusion in that. But whereas corner seems to be a special attribute. Why? Because corner itself is an object of another class point. In this case, this is known as embedded object. Right? Now we are going to create a class for this, and we are going to know how to initialize this embedded objects also. So let me switch over to the IDLE now. So now let me define a class, rectangle. As usual, I don't define anything inside the class definition now. Pass. Right? First, let us instantiate an object. As per the object diagram, I just instantiate or give the name to the object as box. This box is an object of the class rect. So you know how to instantiate. The syntax you must know by this time. So box is an instance of the class rectangle. Our box is an object of the class rectangle. But as of now, it has no attributes. Now let us define the attributes one by one. Box dot width. Let me in short mention it as W. Let me initialize it to some 100. Then box dot height is equal to 120. We have another attribute, right? Box dot C. So how do I do that? Right? So first I have to say that the C is an instance of the class point. Now I can say that box C is the attribute of the box. I mean C is an attribute of the rectangle. Further, C has the attributes x and y, right? C dot x is equal to 4. Something has happened. Let me try once again. Yeah, while instantiating, I just instantiated only C. That is a mistake I have done. I have to do like this. I have to instantiate the entire object. Sorry. Box dot C itself is an instance of the class point. Right, now I'm able to initialize box dot C dot X. Let me give the the value as 4. Yeah. Now box dot c dot y, which is equal to 5. So let us go through what we have done now. Box is an object of the class rectangle. We have to initialize 3 attributes. One is w, width, height, as well as the c is a point. C is nothing but a corner point of the rectangle. So w is initialized as 100, height is initialized as 120, but box.c is completely an instance of point. So first let us initialize that, instantiate that. So these two statements are wrong. So this is the correct way of instantiating it. Box.c is equal to point. Then afterwards, you initialize its corresponding attributes. Box.c.x is equal to 4 and box.c.y is equal to 5. All right. So let us print those values and see also. Box.w. Yeah, we are able to print the width. Let us print the height of the rectangle. Yes, it is printing. What is the corner point of the rectangle or the box? It is nothing but box.c.x. X point we accessed. Similarly, we can access the y point also. So this is a way we are able to create the embedded object. This is a syntax in Python. Now we are going to define a function which is finding the center point of the rectangle. And by the way, we are going to understand one more concept where we are able to return the instances itself. It is possible to return instances or the object. So this is the next concept we are going to learn. We are going to learn through a function. The name of the function is finding the center. Someone is asking what is parse. Parse is nothing but we are not defining anything. Whenever you are not defining any class or method or any function, at that moment, you have to simply write parse. Parse means do nothing. That is the meaning. Okay, someone wants me to display the diagram again. I'll display it right now. Can you see the diagram? This diagram is known as object diagram. Right? Box has 3 attributes: width, height, and corner. Corner is an instance of another class, point. So you can access the attribute like box.width, box.height. How do you access x and y? Box.corner.x, box.corner.y. That is what we have done. While instantiating this attribute also, you have to instantiate in such a way that box.corner is equal to point. I hope now it is clear. Let me continue with the next concept. Shall I continue? Please reply quickly. Okay, now we discuss the concept how to return on object itself in a function. That is what we are going to understand. So for that, we are going to define a function. Define find center point of the rectangle. Center point of the rectangle. For this, I'm just going to pass the rectangle itself as an object. So this is the name of the function, and the argument whatever we are passing is r. Oh, I need to share the screen. Okay. I think now the screen is visible to you. Yeah, see the screen now. Next, the concept what we are going to learn is returning the object. Object itself as the return values. That is the topic you give like that. with the help of a function, we are going to find the center of a rectangle. So I'll just write the formula for that. So whenever I'm returning a center point of a rectangle, again center is a point. The center must be created as an instance of a point. So CP is the center point. I just instantiate it. It should be an object of a class point, right? So now we are going to find two things. One is cp.x, another one is cp.y. cp.x is equal to, there is a formula to calculate it. I'm just giving that formula. R dot c dot x plus R dot w by 2. Here also I have to use the same R here because we are passing the argument as R. Similarly, we are going to calculate cp dot y. Accordingly, we modify the formula also. Yes, we have calculated, we have written the formula. Now just we are going to return the object, which is the object here. CP is the object because CP is an instance of the class point. I think I have written the function without any mistake. Let me go through once again and I explain also. Find center is the function which finds the center point of the rectangle. So that entire R itself is being passed as an object. R, if you are passing this R itself as an object, what are the attributes are also passed? Its width, its height, its X and Y, the point, corner point values. All those attributes are passed here. And inside the function, I have created one more point instance, which is CP, because we have to return the center point, right? So it has two attributes, one is X and Y. As per the formula, I'm calculating what is cp.x and what is cp.y. Then finally, we are returning it. Yes. Now let us check this function. We invoke this function. Since it is returning a value, that value is to be captured in a variable. Let it be center. Center is equal to, let us invoke the method find. The name of the function is find center. Already we have an object for the rectangle, right? What is that object? Which is box. Let us pause that. Now let us print what is center. Oh, it is assigning the object. Let me try to directly print. Oh, sorry, I cannot use the print method. Okay, let me try using the print method and tell me why it is not printing. You can reply in the box, in fact. Print center. It is an error, but you can reply me why it is. But it is not showing it as an error. Instead, it is printing the address of the object. Center is an object. Do you all agree that? Right? Because it is returning an object. So whatever is a return value, that is being assigned to this name. So since it is a dynamically typed language, center also becomes an object. Is it possible to print the object just by invoking the print function? No, it is not possible. Already we have defined a function. Do you remember? prn underscore pt. This is a function we defined which is used to print the point. That function we are going to invoke to print the center point now. Now you are able to get the answer. Have you understood? Or you are expecting me to repeat again? How do you say center has no attributes? See, Python is a dynamically typed language. Whatever the value you are assigning to your name, that name automatically grasp all the values and the properties of that particular thing. See, you don't need to specifically invoke like this. it is not necessary to invoke like this, right? If you try to assign something on the right hand side, since Python is a dynamically typed language, whatever you are assigning on the right hand side, automatically the left hand side will grab everything, right? Let me try to do one thing. Center is a point, right? Now I'll just do like this. C1 is equal to, actually, I don't think so. Yeah, it is possible. Center. Now let C1 is let me try to print what is C1. C1 says it is an object which is created at the reference. Since C1 is a point, we have to use the function which we defined to print the point. So using this equal to, I think it is not possible to assign like this. But when it is returning a value, it is possible. But I can use like this. Once again, C1 is equal to, yeah, first before that I have to import a method called, module called copy. C1 equal to, the name of the module is copy dot copy of I just give whatever already we have defined with that. Can you see it now? Just by equal to value, I'm not able to copy it over here. That is why I have imported a copy module. And from the copy module, I invoked a method called copy, and I have passed the blank point here. So this point is being copied into the name C1 now. Since C1 is also a point, obviously I cannot use a normal print method to print C1. That is why we have used this method, it is printing. Even though I have not instantiated C1 as an instance of class point, it is able to copy along with the attributes. Okay, now let us get back to the function. Is there any doubt in understanding this? See, we are finding the center of the rectangle. That is why we are passing the rectangle itself as an argument. Since we are returning a point, we need an object or instance of that class point, CP. That is why we have instantiated here. Then we calculated what is CP.x and what is CP.y, and that we are returning. So whatever the method returns, that is kept in the name center. Now this has become a point, a data point. So we are printing it using the function. Is there any doubt in understanding the function? You practice these programs, then only the doubts will be cleared, or you will be coming with a new set of doubts that will be clarified in the next class. First, you practice all these things. Shall I move on to the next concept now? The next concept what we have to learn is objects are mutable. It's okay if it is syntax error, not a problem. The only thing what you have to know is objects are mutable. Can you recollect which are the data types are mutable now? Lists are mutable, dictionaries are mutable. Now in that line, objects are also mutable. Which are immutable? Numbers, strings, and tuples are immutable. So how do I say, or how can I prove that objects are mutable? Okay, there is an object called a blank, right? Blank has two attributes. One is X and another one is Y. Let us recollect what are the values available there. blank dot x is equal to 3.0 and blank dot y is equal to 4.0. Now just I'm going to modify the value of that. Blank dot x is equal to blank dot x plus 5.0. Now let us print what is blank dot x. The value is modified. Similarly, we can modify the y attribute also. Blank dot y plus is equal to some 3.0. Let me give. Now let me print the y attribute value. That is also modified. All right. So from this, we are understanding that objects are mutable. Now I have a question. Please write a function. Take down the question. Write a function that modifies the height and width of the rectangle. That modifies the height and width of the rectangle. You can try writing the function now. Simultaneously, I also give the code. So let me define a function which modifies the size of the rectangle or grow the rectangle, anything you can take. So what are the arguments we need? The rectangle along with its attributes we need. All right. Rectangle has three attributes. One is height, width, and the other one is a point. But we are interested only in the height and width. So first argument is a rectangle, the complete rectangle along with the attributes. And I need other two attributes which makes a small change in the width and which makes a small change in the height. That also I'm passing it as argument. So how do I do that now? R dot W. I hope the name of the attribute is W there. R dot W is equal, directly I can say here, plus is equal to TW. R dot height plus is equal to TH. So we are going to print R dot W as well as print the height also. The function is over. Right? Now we can invoke the function with the corresponding actual arguments. So the name of the function is modify the size. The arguments are, first actual argument what we can pass is box. In fact, box has been passed with all the actual arguments. Even the point also, corner point is also sent. But we are not doing any modification with the corner point and we are not printing also. So the small change 20, I want the width to be increased by 20 and the height to be increased by 15. Yes. It is being changed as 120 and 135. Let us change further now. Control C, I'll just print and I'll give some more modification here. I'll change the width by 25 and the height by 10. If I execute one more time, once again the values are modified to 145 and 145. Now we access the width and height of the box. Box dot width, yeah, it is 145. Box dot height, that is also 145. This is a newly updated value. From this function also what we have understood, objects are mutable, right? So this is a best example to understand that objects are mutable. Is there any doubt in understanding this? Please reply. I'm getting two different answers. One is yes, another one is no. In what sense I can understand? No doubt, yes for understanding. Okay. Yes, fine. Now let's conclude this class today. I just want to brush up with the basic definitions now. I hope you are able to see the PPT. Yeah, just look into the glossary. So what is a class? It's a user-defined data type, or the programmer. User is me only. The programmer's defined data type. By writing the class definition, it allows us to define our own data type, right? So what is class object? Class object are nothing but the